When you stop trying so hard to matter to someone, you start mattering to yourself. Let's get one thing clear, my friends. The chase is an illusion. The harder you run after them, the faster they run from you. But the moment you stop, suddenly they notice. They come crawling out of the shadows, liking your posts, replying to your stories, hitting you with that "Hey stranger" text like they didn't ghost you last week, and you sit there, confused. You start thinking, was I not enough before? Why now? That's the trap. That's the psychological game most people don't even realize they're playing. But today, we're going to rip that game apart, piece by piece. Hey folks, imagine this. You're holding a beautiful butterfly in your hands. The more you try to keep it, the tighter you close your grip. And the tighter you grip, the faster it dies. But open your hand, let it breathe, let it choose to stay. And sometimes it lands right back on your finger. That's how attraction works. It's not something you trap, it's something you inspire. And chasing, that kills it faster than anything. When you chase, you're telling the other person, you're the prize, and I'm willing to lose myself to win you. And that's a lie you've been told, over and over again. They told you that effort always wins, that if you just show her how much you care, they'll realize your value. They said nice guys finish last because women like bad boys. Wrong. Women like men who respect themselves. Women like men who don't have to prove they're worthy because they already know they are. As Stoics say, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. Chasing tells the world that your value comes from outside approval. Detachment tells the world that your value is rooted deep, unshakable. The moment you stop trying to convince them is the moment they start wondering why you stopped, why you're not texting, why your name hasn't popped up, why your energy, the one they used to take for granted, is gone. You see, folks, people don't feel your worth when you're always giving it away. They feel it when you stop. That's when your absence becomes more powerful than your presence ever was. But I'm not here to tell you to play games or act cold just to get attention. That's not Stoicism, that's manipulation. I'm telling you to take all that energy you're throwing at someone who's not matching it and pour it back into yourself. Build yourself, improve your mind, your health, your discipline. Make your silence louder than any words you could send. Because a man who can walk away with dignity, without slamming the door, without begging, is the kind of man they never forget. So, don't ask, why did they come back when I stopped chasing? Ask, why was I chasing someone who wasn't choosing me in the first place? The more you try to be chosen, the more you betray yourself. But the moment you choose yourself, that's when everything changes. Write this down in the comments and say it like you mean it. I don't chase, I attract. These 4 words are not just affirmations, they're a code, a shift, a declaration that you're not here to beg. You're here to become, you're here to lead, not follow. So if this hit home, and I know it did, smash that like button, subscribe for more Stoic fire, and drop your affirmation below. Let the world see it. Let you see it. And remember, stay with me because we're just getting started. Number 1, they start wanting you when you pull back. Your presence was their comfort, but your absence will be their awakening. Let's not sugarcoat this, my friends. Chasing is emotional self-abandonment. It's throwing your dignity out the window, hoping that your constant presence will eventually melt their cold indifference. But here's the truth that stings a little before it heals. They don't value what is always available. When you're always texting first, always making plans, always checking in, your energy becomes noise, background static, and the second you stop, the silence becomes a storm in their mind. Imagine this. You're like a lighthouse, shining your light every single night. They saw it, got used to it, stopped appreciating it. But one day, that light goes out. Suddenly they're lost at sea. Suddenly that light meant everything. That's the power of presence, but only when it's not taken for granted. You might ask yourself, why do they pull away when I care more? Why do they only notice when I stop trying? And I'll tell you why. Because people crave what's rare. People chase what feels earned. And when you're always available, when your energy is on tap, when your attention is expected instead of respected, it loses weight. They'll never tell you this, but they start noticing you the moment your energy goes silent. They feel the shift. They wonder where the validation went. That dopamine hit they got from your good morning texts, your compliments, your eagerness, that hit is gone. And now they feel the withdrawal. That's when curiosity is born. Not because you became more attractive overnight, but because you reclaimed your energy, and that's magnetic. But let's be real, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to stop chasing someone you still think about. It's hard to go silent when every part of you wants to scream, "Look at me, please see my worth." You've been conditioned to believe that more effort equals more love, that if you just give enough, try hard enough, prove yourself enough, they'll finally see your value. That's the lie society sold you, that your worth depends on their recognition. But Stoicism shatters that lie. Stoicism says, you are enough, even when unseen. You are worthy, even when unchosen. Let that sink in, folks. You are not an echo. You are a voice. Stop repeating your value to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. Let your silence speak instead. And that's the hardest part for most men, to detach, to pull back, to stop texting, not out of spite, but out of self-respect, to stop checking their story, not because you don't care, but because you care more about your peace now. And that's where the shift begins. When you stop chasing, you're not just creating distance, you're creating perspective. You give them a chance to reflect, to realize what they had, to miss what they once overlooked. People don't process your value when you're always in front of them. They process it when you're not. When the good morning text doesn't come, when their phone doesn't light up with your name. That's when they pause. That's when the story changes. And if they never come back, good. That's your confirmation. Because people who truly valued you would have never needed your silence to appreciate your presence. And those who return, don't be quick to open the door. Watch how they approach. Is it curiosity or is it consistency? Are they reaching out just to feed their ego, or are they ready to meet you halfway this time? It's going to feel like a war inside. I won't lie to you. Your mind will scream, maybe if I just send one more message, maybe they forgot, maybe they're just busy. But no, my friends, they saw your effort. They felt your presence, and they chose not to match it. Let that be enough for you to finally stop dancing for crumbs. You deserve a full seat at the table, not just a moment in someone's spare time. You have to get to a place where your value isn't up for debate. Not in your mind, not in their hands. You walk away not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself more. And when you do that, everything changes. Your energy changes. Your posture changes. You stop waiting and you start becoming. That's when life gets beautiful. That's when people start to take notice. Not because you chased them down, but because you moved on without breaking your own soul. Let this truth guide you. The one who walks away without resentment is the one who holds the power. Not because he didn't feel the pain, but because he respected himself enough not to let that pain keep him stuck. That's Stoicism in motion. That's detachment with grace. That's choosing peace over begging for crumbs. So if this speaks to something deep in you, if you've been chasing someone who doesn't see you, stop. Right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, let the silence speak. Let your absence be your loudest message. And most importantly, let your energy return to where it belongs, with you. Write this in the comments if you're ready to stop chasing and start choosing. My silence is my strength. Say it like a promise, to yourself, to the world, and to anyone who ever doubted your worth. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to beg to be loved. You just have to remember who the hell you are. And stay with me, because what's coming next? It's going to light that fire even deeper. Number 2, scarcity creates desire. When you're rare, you're remembered. What is always seen is rarely valued. What is rare becomes unforgettable. My friends, let's talk about something that most people misunderstand. Not because they're stupid, but because the world teaches them backwards. You've been told that love is about giving everything, that the more available you are, the more they'll see how much you care. But here's the brutal truth that no one likes to admit. Availability doesn't equal attraction. In fact, the more available you are to someone who hasn't earned your energy, the more they start to expect you and eventually ignore you. That's not just a dating issue. That's human psychology in motion. Scarcity creates value. We know this. You don't see people lining up overnight for unlimited sneakers. You see them lining up for limited drops because people want what not everyone can have. The same goes for concert tickets, rare collectibles, and yes, your attention. When you are always texting first, always checking in, always offering your thoughts, time, and energy without them earning it, you've made yourself emotionally cheap. And I don't mean that as an insult, I mean it as a warning. Because what's abundant is taken for granted, and what's rare is remembered. Imagine this. You're a rare gem on display in a glass case. But instead of keeping it protected, you let every person walk by and touch it, toss it back, poke at it, and leave fingerprints on it. Eventually people stop seeing the gem. They just see another rock. But when you limit access, when you only let those who value it approach, suddenly that same gem becomes priceless. Scarcity didn't change the gem. It changed how people treated it. That's what Stoicism teaches us, not to become cold or distant, but to become intentional. You don't give your attention away like flyers on the street. You guard it. You direct it, because your energy is your currency. And when you spend it on people who don't invest back, you go bankrupt. Most of the time, people aren't ignoring you because they don't see you. They're ignoring you because they're used to you being around. The moment you remove your presence, you force them to feel the loss. That's the first taste of scarcity. That's when curiosity creeps in. But if I stop reaching out, won't they forget me? That fear, right there, that's what keeps so many people stuck. That if they don't stay visible, they'll disappear from the other person's mind. But let me tell you something, folks. If they only remember you when you're in front of them, they never saw you clearly to begin with. The ones who truly feel your value will notice your absence the second it enters the room. Not a week later. Not when they're bored. Instantly. Because your energy wasn't just noise. It was meaningful. And if they don't notice, that's not your loss. That's your freedom. That's a sign that you were pouring gold into a bucket with holes, and now you've finally put the bucket down. Still, I get it. It's hard. You've been conditioned to believe that showing up constantly is love, that being available is attractive. That effort will eventually win them over. But let's break that lie right now. True love isn't won. It's met halfway. It's mutual. It's not a reward for persistence. It's a reflection of shared energy. When you're the only one showing up, the only one texting, calling, investing, thinking, it's not love anymore. It's sacrifice. And sacrifice without return is how people lose themselves. That's not strength. That's abandonment of self. So instead of thinking, how can I get them to want me? Try this instead. What would happen if I valued myself enough to be missed? That question flips everything. That question makes you dangerous in the best way, Because now you're no longer operating from desperation. You're operating from powerful restraint. And that kind of energy, that's what lingers. That's what haunts the people who once treated you like you'd always be there. You don't need to yell. You don't need to chase. You don't even need to announce your detachment. Just stop giving your energy to people who never earned it, and they will feel it. That's the beauty of scarcity. It doesn't beg to be seen. It demands to be valued by its very nature. Remember this quote: "When your absence doesn't affect them, your presence never mattered." That's your answer. If they don't care when you're gone, they never cared when you were showing up. And that's your green light to stop showing up at all. Not in anger, not in revenge, just in quiet dignity. So what do you do now? You redirect, you reinvest, you pour all that attention, all that time, all that fire back into yourself, into your body, your goals, your discipline, your evolution. You become the person who no longer waits to be seen, but chooses who gets to witness them. That's the level of rarity that can't be faked. And when you live like that, people don't forget you, they replay you. So let this be your moment right now, not next week, not when they finally message back. Now say it with me in the comments: my value rises in silence. Let it be your reminder. Let it be your identity. Show it to yourself. Show it to the world around you. You don't chase. You elevate. You don't beg. You attract. And most of all, you don't stay where you're not felt. Because you, my friend, are rare. And that's exactly why they'll remember you when you stop showing up. Stay with me, we're just scratching the surface. Number 3, they feel your absence more than your presence. You were never too much. You were just too consistent for someone who was too uncertain. Here's something you won't hear in most conversations about dating and attraction, but it's a law written in silence, not in books. They don't appreciate presence until it turns into absence. You were always there, weren't you? Showing up, checking in, making them feel seen, heard, and validated. You gave them consistency, comfort, warmth. And in return, you got silence, delayed replies, mixed signals, indifference wrapped in vague kindness. But then, one day, you stopped. You didn't announce it. You didn't slam any doors. You just slowly, quietly disappeared. And that silence, that absence, it echoed louder than every word you ever spoke. That's when they started watching your stories again. That's when they liked that photo from 2 weeks ago. That's when they asked a random, pointless question just to pop back into your orbit. You didn't change. You didn't become more attractive overnight. You just stopped chasing. And suddenly they felt your presence in its most powerful form, through your absence. My friends, that is not a trick. That's psychology. That's energy. That's nature. When something is always available, the human brain registers it as background noise. But when it's gone, truly gone, the brain starts to panic. It wants the familiar back. It wants that comfort, that dopamine, that attention it once took for granted. This is why silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of reflection. And when you stop giving your energy freely, people are forced to sit with the gap you once filled. It's funny, isn't it? When you were around, they were too busy. When you were interested, they were confused. But now that you've pulled back, they're suddenly curious. They're suddenly aware. But that awareness didn't come from love. It came from loss. They lost your attention, and now they feel the cost. Let me put it this way. You were like a warm fireplace in winter, always lit, always there. But they never stopped to feel the heat. They assumed it would always be there, crackling in the corner, ready to comfort them whenever they needed it. But now the fire is gone, and suddenly the room feels cold, and now they want to know who else is sitting by your fire. This is where most people mess up. They interpret that return of attention as a sign of love. They think, they missed me, I should go back, I should pick up where we left off. But no, that's not love. That's reaction, that's discomfort, that's ego. Missing you is not the same as valuing you. Wanting you back because you're no longer available doesn't mean they've changed. It means they lost their emotional safety net. And here's where Stoicism saves your soul. You don't run back just because you were noticed. You stay still, you stay centered, you observe. You ask yourself, do they actually see me now, or do they just miss the version of me that didn't respect himself? That question? That's your armor. That's what separates you from who you were back then, the one who overgave, overchased, and overlooked the fact that their silence said everything. Let me hit you with something real. If your absence is what it takes for them to realize your value, they never deserved your presence to begin with. Love shouldn't need a lesson to be awakened. Respect shouldn't be taught through distance. And you shouldn't have to become invisible to be seen. So don't fall for the illusion, the breadcrumbs, the half-hearted check-ins. Stay in your silence, stay in your power. Because the moment you stop giving it all away, you finally begin to see who's willing to meet you where you are, and who only came close because you made it easy. This is where you rise. This is where you make peace with walking away, not to hurt them, but to heal yourself. You didn't lose them. You lost the version of you who thought being available would earn you love. And that's the best loss you'll ever take. They will think about you. They will wonder. They will feel that quiet void every time they scroll and don't see your name, every time they open their messages and realize you're not reaching out anymore. That's the weight of your absence. That's the echo of your energy. But you don't need to respond. You don't need to explain, because you're no longer chasing validation. You're creating peace. And guess what? Peace is louder than any chase ever was. It vibrates at a higher frequency. It attracts better people. It replaces desperation with dignity. And dignity is what truly makes them stop and think, damn, I let something good go. So if you've been wondering whether pulling back was the right move, let me be the one to tell you, yes, it was. Because you didn't pull away to get a reaction. You pulled away to protect your value. And that move, that was the start of everything. Say this in the comments if you're done giving your presence to people who only recognize it after it's gone. My silence speaks volumes. Type it, declare it, own it. Let the world feel the shift in your energy. No more chasing, no more hoping they see you. Because from now on, you see yourself. Stay with me, because what's coming next, that's where the transformation gets even deeper. Number 4, they start wondering when you stop explaining. The loudest message you'll ever send is the one you don't say at all. You used to explain everything, didn't you? Why you cared, why you were trying, why you kept showing up even when they didn't. You wanted them to understand your intentions, your heart, your loyalty. You thought that if you just explained enough, they'd finally get it, that they'd see you differently, that they'd realize the depth of what you were offering. But here's the truth that hits different when you finally live it. People don't change how they see you because of your words. They change when your absence makes them feel something they can't explain. At some point, you stop explaining, not because you're angry, not because you've given up, but because you've grown. And growth doesn't argue with confusion. It simply walks away from it. You stop justifying your worth. You stop repeating your value like a commercial playing on loop for someone who's never tuned in. You don't need to keep reminding them of what they lost when they weren't paying attention to what they had. That's not strength. That's a waste of breath. Picture this. You're at a restaurant. You place your order. You wait. The server walks by you 10 times and still doesn't bring your food. At first, you speak up. Excuse me, I ordered a while ago. They say, it's coming, so you wait again. Nothing. You remind them again. It's on its way, they say. But still, nothing shows up. Eventually, you don't ask a third time. You don't yell. You don't make a scene. You just leave. That's the silence they never expect. That's the moment that speaks the loudest. That's when they realize they've been taking someone's patience for granted. That's you, folks. That's your story. You kept waiting to be chosen, kept explaining your heart, kept showing up, hoping they'd appreciate you. But now, you're not yelling. You're not posting quotes. You're not texting paragraphs explaining how much you care. You're silent. And that silence, it's not passive. It's power. The moment you stop chasing and stop explaining, the dynamic shifts completely. Now they're the ones with questions. Why did they stop? Why did the energy shift? Did I do something? Are they talking to someone else? You haven't said a word, and yet they're having entire conversations with your silence. That's how powerful you become when you let go of the need to prove yourself. But let's not pretend this is easy. Let's not pretend that going quiet doesn't hurt sometimes. You're human. You wanted to be seen. You wanted to be understood. There's nothing weak about wanting connection. What's weak is staying in places that keep you misunderstood. What's painful is watching someone ignore everything you said while only responding to your absence. But here's the shift, my friends. You realize that explanation is often a symptom of seeking permission. Permission to be valued, to be enough, to be wanted. And the day you stop seeking that permission, that's the day you stop explaining. That's the day you stand firm in your value without needing an audience to clap for it. You don't need to announce your healing. You just stop bleeding for people who wouldn't have noticed anyway. You don't need to convince them that you were good. Let your absence do the talking. Let the silence show the space you used to fill. Because when you stop showing up to prove something, they start realizing what was proven every time you did show up. Let me tell you something real. Your love doesn't need to be explained to be valid. Your effort doesn't need to be justified to be meaningful. And your heart doesn't need to be broken repeatedly before you decide to protect it. The right people. They won't need essays. They won't need explanations. They'll feel you. They'll recognize your presence while they still have it. So if you're in that place right now, wondering whether to explain yourself one more time, wondering if one last message might clear things up, do yourself a favor. Don't. Hold your peace. Protect your dignity. Let them sit in the silence they created, because if they couldn't hear your words, maybe they'll feel your distance. And if they don't, that's your sign. That's your closure. Because when someone doesn't respond to your presence or your absence, the message is already clear. They never valued you in the first place. That's not rejection. That's redirection. That's life pulling you away from what would have drained you dry. So here's your affirmation. Type it in the comments. Let it echo beyond the noise. I don't explain my worth. I embody it. Say it for the version of you that begged. Say it for the version of you that pleaded to be seen. And say it for the version of you that's rising now, stronger, quieter, and far more powerful than ever before. Stay with me, because this next shift we're about to break down, it's going to show you why your new silence isn't just power, it's attraction. And the right ones, they'll feel every word you never said. Number 5, they feel the void when you no longer fill it. When you stop showing up where you're not seen, you stop shrinking to fit places you were never meant to belong. You were the one who always filled the silence, weren't you? The one who reached out first, who made the effort, who held conversations together when they started falling apart. You kept the connection alive with your energy, with your consistency, with your presence. You filled every awkward gap. You poured in reassurance. You were the glue. But now you've stopped. You've gone quiet. You've pulled back, not to punish, but to protect. And suddenly, the air feels heavy on their side. The silence they once enjoyed, it starts to feel different. It starts to feel like a void. That's the part they never expected, that your presence was the thing holding it all together, that your voice, your check-ins, your warmth, was the emotional structure of what they now miss. They didn't feel it at first because they got used to you showing up without being asked. They assumed the well would never run dry. But now the well is dry, and they're thirsty, and they don't know how to ask because they never learned how to give. My friends, people feel the absence of what they never had to earn, and they feel it most intensely when they never realize they had it in the first place. That's the price of overgiving. You become a comfort they didn't have to work for, and comfort, when given too easily, turns invisible until it's gone. But this time, you're not rushing back to fix it. You're not over-explaining. You're not apologizing for pulling away when they gave you nothing to hold on to. This time, you're letting them feel the weight of your silence, not as revenge, but as truth. Let me give you a picture. Imagine walking into a room every day and turning on the light. You never thought twice about it. Flip the switch, boom, light. One day, the light doesn't come on. Now you notice. Now you care. Now you're thinking, what's wrong? Why isn't this working? But the problem wasn't the bulb. It was the person who never paid attention until the light was gone. That's what your energy was, that light. And when you stop filling the void they never appreciated, you give them something they can't ignore: space. That empty space starts whispering to them. It's not loud, but it's there. And in that space, they don't hear your voice. They hear the echo of their own inaction. That's the part that stings. They thought they could keep you around forever while giving you half-hearted effort. They thought they could take without replenishing. But the moment you stop filling in the emotional blanks, they have to read between the lines. And the lines say, I won't bleed for someone who wouldn't even lift a finger for me. The hardest part, folks, is not going back when they finally start noticing, when the breadcrumb messages come in, when the sudden interest returns. Because they don't miss you, they miss the version of themselves that felt important when you chased them. They miss the comfort, the attention, the control. But do they miss you? Or do they just miss the space you used to fill? You've got to ask yourself, was I needed or was I used? That question stings, but it frees you. It reveals whether you were being seen or just being consumed. And once you pull your energy back, you start seeing clearly. You start seeing who actually shows up now that you're not giving endlessly. And often, the silence reveals the truth far better than any words ever could. So here's what you do now. You don't fill that void again. You let it stay empty. Because that void, that's not your responsibility anymore. You filled it with kindness, with effort, with love, and they met you with convenience. They didn't protect what you gave, and now that it's gone, they want it back, without the responsibility of earning it. Don't fall for that trap again. Let them sit in it. Let them feel it. Let them miss you for real, not just miss the feeling of being chased. Let them meet the version of themselves that ignored you and ask why. And while they're doing that, you evolve, you grow, you invest in the places that pour back into you. You fill your own cup so much that you overflow, but only into hands that know how to hold it. Because that's what Stoicism teaches you, not to be cold, but to be calm, not to be passive, but to be precise. To choose where your energy goes like it's sacred, because it is. And if you've ever been the one to overfill empty spaces, this is your moment to reclaim your space, your peace, your power, not by proving anything, not by chasing closure, but by letting silence do what words could never accomplish. Say this in the comments if you're done being the filler in someone else's empty story. I don't fill voids, I create value. Say it and mean it. Let it be the shift that sets the tone for the rest of your life, because once you stop filling their silence, they'll finally start hearing your worth. And that, my friends, is when you become unforgettable. Stay with me. The next truth we unravel will make it even clearer why the strongest energy is reserved. Number 6. They respect you more when you stop trying to be liked. Respect is born in boundaries, not in begging. Let's get brutally honest here, folks. You were never too nice. You were just too available to people who didn't value what you were offering. And instead of being respected for your effort, you were tolerated for your convenience. Because when you try to be liked by everyone, you eventually end up being respected by no one. You lose the sharp edges that make you powerful. You smooth yourself out so much just to fit into their comfort that you disappear in the process. There comes a point where you stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Do I even like who I become around them?" Because that's what happens when you chase approval. You shapeshift. You silence your opinions. You say yes when your soul is screaming no. You become agreeable, predictable, emotionally soft. And guess what? That's not what makes people stay. That's what makes people look past you. Trying to be liked is like watering a dead plant, hoping it'll come back to life just because you care more. But caring harder doesn't revive dead roots. And in the same way, chasing someone's validation doesn't make them love you more. It just makes them comfortable with giving you less. People don't respect desperation. They respond to presence. And presence is only powerful when it's grounded in self-worth. When you stop trying to please them, you start standing out. Because confidence doesn't walk into a room wondering who likes it. Confidence walks in already knowing it doesn't need to be liked to be valuable. But let's be real, it's hard, right? You want to be liked. We all do. There's nothing weak about wanting connection. What's weak is abandoning yourself to get it. What's weak is believing that being tolerated is close enough to being loved. And that's where most people get it wrong. They think that if they just give more, if they just prove how nice, how loyal, how committed they are, the other person will wake up and see their worth. But that's not how it works. They don't respect you more the more you try. They respect you when you stop trying altogether. Not out of spite, not to play a game, but because you realize that if someone needs to be convinced to see your value, they were never ready to hold it in the first place. You can't keep giving yourself to someone who's only halfway showing up. That's not love, that's survival. You want to know what people really remember. The ones who didn't try to impress. The ones who didn't chase. The ones who stood firm in who they were, even if that meant standing alone. People remember the ones who didn't need to be liked to be powerful, and ironically, those are the ones who are respected the most. Trying to be liked puts you on their terms. Choosing self-respect puts you on your throne. It's like this. Imagine someone at a marketplace screaming for attention, lowering their price with every second that passes. Now imagine someone else, calm, silent, standing still with something rare, refusing to negotiate. Who do people take more seriously? The one who's begging for buyers, or the one who doesn't care if anyone stops by, because they know their value isn't up for discount? That's the shift, folks. You stop being loud. You stop explaining. You stop seeking. And you start attracting through stillness, through energy, through clarity. When you carry yourself like someone who doesn't need approval, you walk different. You talk different. People sense it. They don't feel the pressure to validate you, and that's exactly what draws them in. The absence of need becomes the presence of mystery. It's not about being arrogant. It's about being rooted, grounded, certain of who you are. When you're that solid, you don't fear losing people who only stayed because you bent over backward for them. You don't flinch when someone walks away, because you know real ones stay for who you are, not for how well you pretend to be who they want. So from now on, let this be your filter. If being yourself pushes someone away, let them go, because the cost of being liked should never be the price of your authenticity. Write this in the comments if you're done performing for approval. I choose respect over attention. Say it like you're reclaiming your identity. Say it like you're done shrinking to be digestible. Say it for the version of you that stayed quiet just to keep someone close. That version of you is gone now. From this moment on, you're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected. And if that respect comes with love, that's beautiful. But if not, you'll still be whole, because your worth was never up for negotiation. And once you stop trying to prove it, they'll finally start feeling it. Stay with me. The next shift we're stepping into will expose why walking away with peace is louder than staying and screaming for attention. Number 7. They only return when you no longer wait. The moment you stop waiting is the moment they start wondering. You waited, didn't you? Waited for the text, waited for the apology, waited for them to realize what you were worth. You told yourself, maybe they just need time. Maybe they're confused. Maybe I should hold on just a little longer. And every day you waited, you gave them more power, not because they deserved it, but because you were hoping your patience would turn into proof. Proof that you were the one. Proof that your silence would be rewarded. But the truth is, they never come back while you're waiting. They only return when you've moved on without needing them to. Why? Because waiting is energy. Waiting is hope. Waiting is a signal. It tells the universe, and it tells them, I'm still available. I'm still emotionally yours, even if I'm not saying it out loud. And people can feel that, even through silence, even without a single message sent. They can feel when you're still waiting for them. And as long as they can feel it, they don't fear losing you. They don't hurry. They don't reflect. They don't change. But the moment that energy dies, the moment you stop caring, stop checking, stop lingering in their digital shadows, that's when something shifts. They feel the difference. The invisible rope they thought they had wrapped around you suddenly snaps. And now, for the first time, you're not waiting. They're wondering. Wondering who you've become, wondering who's catching your attention now, wondering if that version of you, the one who would have dropped everything for them, has disappeared forever. And you know what? You have. That version of you no longer exists, because you've stopped begging time to heal what your boundaries could have ended long ago. Let me give you a metaphor, folks. Imagine standing in a hallway holding a door open. You're tired, your arms ache, but you keep holding it just in case they walk back through. And one day you realize they're not coming back. You're not even sure they ever planned to. And in that moment, you let go. You release the handle. The door doesn't slam. It just quietly clicks shut. And with that sound, something inside you closes too. That's not bitterness, that's peace. They only come back when the door is closed, not because you locked it, but because they never expected it to close at all. Your availability made them comfortable. Your waiting made them powerful. But your detachment? That's what makes them panic. That's what wakes them up. But here's what most people won't tell you. When they finally come back, it won't feel the same. The part of you that used to long for them has already outgrown the version of them that's returning. You'll see them clearly now. You'll remember how much you had to shrink just to keep them, how long you waited just to feel seen. And now, you don't feel the pull anymore. You feel calm. You feel grounded. And that, right there, is your reward. Not that they came back, but that you don't want them anymore. It's not about revenge. It's not about getting them to crawl back. It's about realizing you were never supposed to stand still in the first place. You were meant to move forward. You were meant to evolve. You were meant to become someone that people regret losing, not someone who waits around hoping to be chosen. So if you've been holding space for someone who doesn't show up, let this be the sign you've been waiting for. Let go. Stop counting the days. Stop replaying old memories. Stop hoping that silence will eventually turn into clarity. Because the closure you're waiting for, it's not coming from them, it's already inside you. The most powerful thing you can do now is live. Fully, freely, loudly. Build your body, build your discipline, build your world so beautifully that anyone who walks out of it regrets it, but not because you tried to make them, because you didn't need to. Remember, they only come back when you're done waiting, and by the time they return, the man you've become, he doesn't need them anymore. So write this in the comments and let it be your declaration. I've stopped waiting. I've started rising. Type it with certainty, with pride. Let it be the signal to yourself that you are done pausing your life for someone who was unsure about being in it. And if this journey we just walked through together opened your eyes, grounded your heart, or helped you reclaim even 1 ounce of your power, let it be known. Share this with someone else who's still holding that door open, because this isn't just your healing, it's your transformation. And now that we've reached the end, know this: you didn't lose them. You found you, and that, my friend, is the beginning of everything.